Hello, my name is DC Cordova, and I am CEO of Accelerated Business Schools for Entrepreneurs and the Money and You program. And I'm very excited to be doing this interview. John Hinwood and I met back in February of the year 1987 in Melbourne, Australia, when he attended our Money and You program. And so much has happened, and I'm so excited about what has happened around this wonderful card that says expect a miracle. And basically I went to a church in Hawaii called Unity Church in the early 80s, and there was this little card that just said expect a miracle, and I was so excited, and I bought quite a few of them. They were very inexpensive. And all of a sudden I wasn't feeling really well. I was going through some things in my life at the time. And I was feeling very sad. It was a spiritual process that I was going through, and I had only been around Money and You for about 4 years then. And it was such a magnificent program, but my beingness, the level of deservability was a little bit low. So I had gone from San Diego to Hawaii, and I was actually promoting the Money and You program there with Robert Kiyosaki, who's now very well known through the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And I decided to start going to this wonderful church because I had met some beautiful people. And I was looking at the bookstore, and there was this stack of cards, so I bought them. And it was really interesting because I kind of thought, expect a miracle. I really need a miracle right now. And then I decided to start giving them to people because it was really fun and exciting. And the way that people would react to this card, and they would say, DC, you made this up? And I said, oh my God, no. I said, this came from Unity Church. And so I was giving them out, but the biggest thing was how people would react. And of course, for some people, it was maybe a little bit too quote unquote religious. And for others, it was just like a miracle, expect a miracle. And what had happened for me earlier in the 70s, I had studied the course in miracles with my wonderful teacher, Sandra Ray. And there was these 3 texts in there, and one of them is called the Teacher's Manual, which is very small. And it talks about miracles being a common occurrence. And it's only us that will take a look at something and think that it is something miraculous, when really, if you think about it, what most people call a sunrise, we call a sunsight, which Buckminster Fuller taught us, really it could be a miracle, really, when you think about it. And the same thing with a sun eclipse, which is the sunset. And when you begin to really look around you, there are so many miraculous things. And I began, as I studied the Course in Miracles in the late 70s, and then this card was kind of a bit of a miracle that I got it, because I wasn't feeling well. I was beginning to forget that miracles were a daily occurrence, and they are really much more normal than we think they are. I began to really get in touch again with those aspects of myself that could believe and that could expect miracles on a daily basis. And my life began to shift a little. It wasn't like this huge change. And I thought, this is interesting. Ever since I picked up these cards, and I kind of put them everywhere. I had everywhere expect a miracle. I had it in my bathroom, and mirror, and I had it on my refrigerator. I had it on my actual wallet, and then I kept buying more. And then I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was in the mid-'80s, a few years later, that I thought it would be a really good idea to have my business cards say expect a miracle, and in the back have my name and phone number and all that. And it just had my phone and my name and all that. But I felt like I needed to get permission from Unity Church. So I called them up, and I said, I bought these beautiful cards. I said, is it okay if I create a business card out of it? And they said, you can do whatever you want with it. This doesn't belong to anyone. And I said, okay. And they just said, somebody just came up with this, and we've been printing it, so you're welcome to do whatever you want. But of course, you always acknowledge source, and that's where I first got it. They don't really know where it came from, but obviously they were very popular. And I began to create this business card. So it was a little bit coming out of the closet a little bit, because it began to really show my spiritual side. And these were my business cards. And so I would give it to them. And then, I think some of them probably were thinking about throwing them out, or by accident they would look at the back, and they were white on the side with my name, but on the other side, they were gold. And and he said, expect a miracle. And he was like, oh my God. And then it was kind of an interesting thing because people no longer felt at ease throwing away my cards, which in a way was a good networking exercise. And that's how John got a card. And his story is so wonderful. And I'm so excited that now he has created so many miracles around these cards. And truly, I have been given data, I have been given information, I've been given feedback. I don't have like specifics where I can say you can go to so and so and they created this huge miracle out of having this card. But I have been told many times that when they read Expect a Miracle, they were either having a bad day, or they were attempting to make a decision in their lives, or there was something going on that they needed to have more clarity. And for some reason, they met me somewhere at a networking event or at the Money and You program at our business school for entrepreneurs, and they received that card, and then all of a sudden, it was some sort of clarity for them. It was almost like a little sign that said, go there, and they were able to make a decision out of them getting this card. So I feel like whenever you find something wonderful, that it is something that we really do need to share with others. And this has been my experience around the Expect a Miracle card. What I decided to do again, because I do work in certain countries that are very religious. We do a lot of business in Malaysia, which is a Muslim country, and we do go to China, where actually they're not so religious, but you have to be a little bit careful with how you present yourself in China, being that it's a communist country, and they don't do anything against churches or anything, but you have to be a little bit careful. But one of the things that I decided to do, though, was to go ahead and put it on my business card again. And then I decided to translate it into different languages. So now what's so interesting, I have it in Chinese. It says Expect a Miracle, my card, and I'm sure that John will put it on the website so you all can see it. And it's in Chinese, in Japanese, which is a little bit to create peace between those two communities, because there's still some things left over from way back when. I have it in Spanish, of course, because I am Chilean, and we do have quite a few Spanish people, speaking people in the United States. And then, of course, we also have it in Bahasa, which is the Malay language. And now we're getting ready to translate it into other languages. But it's really interesting because when the Chinese look at it and they go, oh my God, Expect a Miracle. And it was an interesting thing to translate because you can't say it outright. I don't think they have the word miracle the way we do. So it has something like expect the unexpected or expect wonderfulness or something like that.